Namaskaram, Hari Om to everyone. So with the verses 6 to 11, he is giving us the progressive ways to reach God. A quick recap of what I've said in the previous two classes. Verses 6 and 7 gives us the progressive steps towards enlightenment, where he spoke about the performance of karma bhakti jnanam with the primary objective of exhausting your vasanas, reaching a state of mental withdrawal, uparati. Then you perform the open eye meditation, which is dharana. Then sit single pointed, which is dhyana. And then you reach the final stage of spiritual journey, which is self-realization, the samadhi. And in the 8th verse, he gives the highest spiritual discipline, which is meditation. Now, meditation is, we defined it as keeping your mind lodged on the self, with your intellect also placed in the self. Once you have your mind and intellect absorbed in the self, that exercise is meditation. We explained the difference, or the most important element in meditation is the participation of the intellect. If the intellect, the job of the intellect is to police the mind. The job of the intellect is to control the mind. The job of the intellect is to direct the mind where it's going. So any action which is backed or done by the intellect, it is termed as conscious actions. When your intellect is not participating in any activity, it is not conscious. So the result you want to gain, or the objective of meditation, is to get rid of the last thought, to get rid of the last desire or the last vasana. So you come to the almost to the pyramid, to the peak of that, the pyramid, in the pyramid of your human personality. The base of the pyramid is where you have maximum vasanas, maximum desires. So as you keep evolving, as you keep going higher, you keep dropping your vasanas and desires, and you keep converging to the point, to the tip, to the peak of the pyramid. At the very top, there is no vasana. So ideally, one step below that, there will be one vasana. A few steps below will be 10 vasanas, and so on and so forth. So the meditation is at the last stage where you're trying to deal with the last vasana. And any thought, the principle behind any thought, principle behind exhausting any thought is it must not be given strength. You must not feed the thought. If you want to get rid of any thought, the objective is, the primary thing is you must not feed it. Secondly, you must get rid of the existing strength or potency in a desire or a vasana. You get what I'm saying? You don't strengthen it, but whatever it has got, you get rid of it. Now, how do you strengthen a desire? How do you give potency to a desire? Is when the mind backs an action. When an action is done purely on the mind, it is like fuel to fire. It will continue to get inflamed, it will continue to be fed. So when the mind alone chants the mantra in meditation, without the intellect, you will not be able to get rid of the thought. You will not be able to get rid of the desire. So the purpose of intellect is When you are operating on the intellect, the mind is not fed. You get what I'm saying? The mind is not fed because of the conscious action. Since the mind is not fed, it doesn't gain strength. Rather, since it is chanting, the mind is chanting the mantra Om, the last thought, it slowly dies away. In fact, what we are saying is, if the intellect doesn't participate while you're meditating, it tantamounts to indulgence, it tantamounts to feeding your mind, feeding the desire. How did we define indulgence as last week? You got the definition, Vijayji? You got the definition in notes? How did we say indulgence is?
Indulgence creates for desire, which can be defined.
None. Last week we differentiated between so we define indulgence as any uncontrolled, indisciplined, subconscious thought flow. Remember, we wrote it. We wrote on the board, right? When your thoughts are running ungoverned, indisciplined, unconscious, and uncontrolled is indulgence. But on the contrary, when your thoughts are controlled, a discipline and a conscious thought flow is concentration, is meditation. So when the intellect plays a part, that is when you're meditating. So it needs a extraordinary, in fact, let's take a realistic stock. Today, the mind is extremely strong and the intellect is weak. So any amount of, in fact, there's a tug of war between the head and the heart. There's a tug of war between the mind and the intellect. And many a time it is the mind that wins over the intellect. The intellect may know that is the wrong thing to do. The intellect knows I should not get attached. The intellect knows I should not become emotional. The intellect knows I should not act on the desire. Yet, you're not able to withhold the strength of the mind or the desire because the intellect is weak. So, a preliminary prerequisite to even attempt meditating is the intellect must first and foremost have a healthy control over the mind. So when you have no control over the mind, such a mind is known as extroverted mind. The mind runs helter-skelter. The mind runs all over. It has no control. To the extent an agitated mind can't sleep. When your thoughts running wild, you can't even sleep. So if you have to find sleep, you must keep your mind relatively calm. Prerequisite. So in the 8th verse, he is giving the spiritual sadhana meditation, obviously for the highly introverted. Now, in the 9th verse, he said, if you are not able to fix your mind steadily on me, then he says, you go back to Abhyasa Yoga. Abhyasa Yoga is referring to the 6th and 7th verse. Go back to Karma Bhakti Jnanam. Karma Bhakti Jnanam objective is to shed your desires, make yourself conducive. Your mind is conducive, ready to meditate. If the meditator is agitated, the practitioner, if he is agitated, he will not be able to, his mind is incapacitated to concentrate. His mind is incapacitated to meditate. So the moment you are incapacitated, he says, go back to the practices of Karma Bhakti Jnanam. There shouldn't be any mental repressions or psychological suppression. Those symptoms of such mental flux, if they're unfit, go back. Now, even you are not able to do that, in the 10th and 11th verse, he is going to give alternative practices. So 6th and 7th gave the main spiritual stream, karma, bhakti, jnanam. 9th verse, he's saying, meditate. 9th verse, can't meditate, do abhyasa, karma, bhakti, jnanam. If you can't do that, sir, I'm not able to do karma, bhakti, jnanam. Then what? 10th verse. Abhyasephyasamarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. Abhyasephyasamarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. If you are even unable to do the practice which is abhyasa, regard my action as supreme. Mat karma paramaha. Regarding my action as supreme, even by merely performing actions for my sake, you shall attain perfection. Madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. You shall attain perfection. By what? By merely regarding my action as supreme. So the 10th verse is giving us an advice. What is the advice? So this is the path to an average person who can't work in a spirit of dedication. If you can't work with the spirit of karma, bhakti, jnanam, such people, he is giving this mantra. If you can't do 10, he'll give 11 also, don't worry. So everybody is incorporating. So from the highest to the lowest, he is giving you a path. He's not excluding, he's all inclusive. So what do you gather from the word regarding my action as supreme? What do you get from that?
Dedicate all your actions to me.
Dedicating your actions to him, yes. Krishnarpanam, surrendering, act in a spirit of total surrender. You become a mere instrument. I am not the doer. I am not able to consciously convert my action into worship. What is yogic action? Yogic action is to convert everything that you do for the higher. See, if you are not able to do that, simply say, it's all thy will be done, not my will be done. Just entertain the thought of the higher and surrender. In everything that you do, you say it is the Lord's will. Hanji?
I think it is more or less the same, conveying the same meaning. Sarva dharma parityajya mamekam saranam braja. Sab chhod chhad ke, or you leave everything and surrender to me.
That is a completely different message there, where it says sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tva sarva papebhya mokshayishyami ma suchah.
Context is different.
Context is different, the message is different. There he says you will have to sacrifice all your desires for my sake alone. Here he is not telling sacrifice your desires. He says you run behind your desires. But in and through every pursuit of desires, don't be selfish, man. Think of me in everything that you do. I want power. Think of me in that power. You want money. Think of me in that money. Think of you are wanting success. Think of me in success. Surrender to me. And anything comes, you say, it is aapka prasad hai, aapki daya hai, aapki krupa hai. So think of the Lord. Think of the higher in everything that you're doing. That you can do at least. You may not be able to oblate every action to me. You may not be able to dedicate every action to me, which is what you are saying. See, there's a verse in the, I don't know, in the 3rd chapter it comes, Brahmani adhaya karmani. Adhaya means you keep anchored. Your thoughts and actions are anchored in Brahman and you perform action. That is different. Here he's saying just surrender. When do you surrender to anything? You can say it is Bhakti Marga. Just surrender. But it's not, Bhakti is not easy. That's the reason it is the 12th chapter, no? The chapter is entitled Bhakti Yoga. So there is a connection to Bhakti here. But the question is, when do you surrender to anybody? Am I seeing illusion? You don't see illusions, SR? Suresh Garu, please clean your specs once if you don't see illusion there on the screen. Okay, look to your right. Look to your right here. Whom do you see here? Vijay is sitting here. And he's seeing in the screen also. So which is the reality? I don't know. ये क्या हुआ? So the only thing is we are not at your level. He is sitting right in the front row and suddenly appearing on the screen also. Huh? Hybrid. Truly hybrid. He is so used to hybrid, even in front of you also is not, he only wants to come that way only. I am standing in front of you. No, still I love the picture only. You still want to worship? God has appeared right in front of you. No, I'm so habituated worshipping a picture. Even when the Lord appears, you don't want to see him. Ye kya baat hua? Hai ji? So for a moment when I saw, I got almost disoriented. So the question is, when do you surrender? See, here he is suggesting to us surrender. What is surrender? To say, thy will be done, not my will be done. So in every walk of the way, in every step of the way, you are able to think of the Lord. I am not the doer. The doing is not mine. The karma phala, what result I get is not mine. Everything is yours. So in that sense, to that extent, you are forgetting about your little self. The self oblivious, you become self insignificant. What takes significance is the higher. Now, when does one get into that spirit of surrender? When can one get into that spirit of surrender is the question. We all need to surrender. We all, in fact, surrender at different stages of our lives, in different contexts. Egoless state. See, this person is not a high spiritual seeker. Huh? This person is not able to do the practices of karma, bhakti, jnanam. To a person who can't do that, can't meditate, he's saying surrender. Simply surrender, man. Whatever you're doing, you just follow what is told. Hari. For a moment, I couldn't recognize you. Today, whole illusion. Last week I saw him, I recognized him. Today I see him, I can't recognize him. Clean shave, partial shave. Specs were new shave. I couldn't recognize him. This new fellow. Surrender is just do what is told. Do everything in the name of the Lord. So when does one surrender? Huh?
When you are not able to try your mind, the path of right.
When you're not able to, when you don't know what is right and wrong, all right? Yes, ma? When you are helpless. Did you say that? What did I saying? No, but then this is being recommended for those who can't put conscious actions, who can't identify with a higher cause and then drive their actions. So it is meant for a certain class of people. But surrender happens only in areas of ignorance. Remember that. Only when you are ignorant, when you are helpless, you don't know what to do next, then you go and surrender. Having surrendered, you don't use your own individual intellect or individual thinking. Thereafter, you follow what is being told. You become a mere instrument in that person's hands. It's like when you have a physical ailment, You don't know what's happening with you. You go to a doctor, you present your symptoms, and you say, I don't know what's happening, can you please help? You are totally helpless. Now, in that state of helplessness, you surrender to his knowledge or wisdom and say, please tell me, what do I do? To which he gives you a series of medical solution, he gives you medication, he gives you certain tests. He wants you to strictly adhere and keep reporting him after 1 week. You must report to me after 1 week to tell, I want to know what is the progress. If it is not, then I will make a change to the chemical combination or the form, the medication I'm giving. I need to know. Make sure you reach me. He's particular. Get my personal number, message me this. So you are not using your intellect. You are not doing your own actions. You are a mere instrument in the hands of the doctor. Everything is done because of him. Everything is done because he has told you to do. So you think of him in everything that you do, isn't it? Until you get back to your normal self. Exactly like that. Everything, since you can't think of the higher, he says, just surrender to me. Replace your limited ego, your limited purpose with I to die. Oh, that's also very difficult, sir. My ego and selfishness and myself is so much that there's no thought or possibility that I can entertain the thought of him in my action. Is it possible? Not that easy. Not easy at all. Can you use the mic, please? Pass. Oh.
Ego is so strong, Guruji, like given a clue, God has given a clue, then we remember him and there is a pain. After that, we don't record God, like a doctor.
That's what Kabir dua, no? दुख में सुमिरन सब करे, सुख में करे न कोई, जो सुख में सुमिरन करे, दुख काहे को होए.
It's true.
So it's not an easy act to think of the Lord in everything that he does. So a simple example, let's say you are a mere a salaried man in a firm. You are a representative of a firm. You are a marketing man. You're selling a product of your firm. Now, wherever you go, what would you say? You become the representative of the firm. Okay, sir, we will supply the product to you. We are facing some challenges in the production chain, so there will be a delay. We will live up to your expectations. Where are you as an ordinary salaried man who is working to feed your family and your needs? But at that point, you forget your ego of yourself and you become the firm, don't you? So you take that, you become that, you surrender to your company, you become the company. Where is I there? There is no I at all. So you are an agent of your organization. So what here he is saying is you be an agent of the divine. His will is not my will. So replace your wish, your desires, your plans, your agenda, your hidden agenda to life to say, let him decide what is right, what is wrong. Let him pave the way for me, what is the way forward. Who am I to decide? He's the creator. Doesn't he know what it needs? You know, there's a poem, Olive Tree. I don't know who wrote that poem, An Olive Tree. The poem talks of two hermits. They wanted olive oil for prayer. That's all that wanted. But they couldn't go to a store and buy olive. So the story goes, they both plant olive trees. For the olive tree to grow to yield olives so that they can extract olive oil so that they can pray for the prayer. One fellow plants an olive tree and he starts saying, I think the olive tree needs rain. So he commands, I want rain. So the clouds gather, open up and they shower rain. I think there's too much water. I think now I want sunshine. He asks for sunshine. The clouds part, the sun shines, and it is bright and sunny. Then he says, I think I need a little frost. And he keeps asking for whatever he wants, and God granted every petition of his. And the story goes as a poetic way. He says, by evening song it died. He decided what it needs. By evening song it died. And then he went to his brother, referring to other hermit, sitting in his rocky cell. The poet is trying to give contrast to this man who planted the seed or the plant in a conducive soil. He asked what he wanted, it gave, but at evening song it died. He went to his brother sitting in his rocky cell. How is it that thy plant thriveth, O brother, tell? His plant was thriving, it was growing, it was blooming. And he planted in a rocky cell, not so rich soil, it was in a rocky area. Then to the gist of it, he said, I surrendered my plant to the Creator. He knew what it needed better than a man like me. Whom am I to decide whether the plant needs moisture or frost or sunshine or water or what it needs? I did my part. I surrendered it to the Creator. Let him take care of what it needs better than a man like me. So the problem is our entire life is either you start determining what I should, by the time I am at this age, my children must do this, my children must get there, they must go to this country, they must get educated. At this stage, by the time they are 4, they must have this many skills. By the time they are 10, they must have that many skills. They must have this much wealth. I must have that much security. I must have this education. And by that time, I must have my first child. All is what? My will, my wish. Everything is kicked out. By evening song, you die. Yes, do your part. You know, I know what it is to live in the different culture. When you live overseas and you see the kind of mania people get into getting their children educated, children qualified, children that skill, this skill, they keep running weekends from one class to other. They don't mind paying hundreds of dollars just to get their skill for the child, because they want the child skill to be holistically developed. End of the day, that fellow gets to the job, doesn't know how to deal with the job, how to deal with failure, how to deal with the spouse, how to deal with the wife, how to deal with challenges. Finished, collapsed. Ramatirtha says, you may have all the know-how of the world, but if you have not gained this Atma Vidya, you have not learned anything in life. So what we have planned for ourselves, what we think is my life is complete, is because of all your plan. What about the providence? What about the totality? Have you considered, have you surrendered to the totality?
In the context of this difficulty to surrender, Rabindranath Tagore in Gitanjali, he beautifully writes, give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. So even to surrender your strength to the divine will, you need a greater strength. Give me the strength, he says, to surrender my strength to thy will with love.
Not easy, no?
But how beautifully he has put it. You think you're very strong, but let God give you greater strength to surrender that strength to his will with love. And do it with love, that surrender.
Poetry only enhances the quality, because many a time these ideas are beyond words. You can't capture them in words. Subtler than words are emotions. Subtler than emotions are thoughts. So these emotions and sentiments are too subtle.
And in fact, he writes it in the form of a prayer. This is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Strike at the root of penury in my heart. And in that context, give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love.
Even a Christian prayer says that, isn't it?
This
The
is from
Christian prayer.
Gitanjali.
Hmm?
This is from Gitanjali, Tagore's collection, where you also have where the mind is without fear and all that.
End of the day, what it says is you must surrender. Surrender to the totality. So when, yes, Vijay, yeah. Now, whom do I see? Yeah.
So in the verse, it talks about, then do all actions for my sake. So we're talking about when we are helpless, we then surrender. But in this particular verse, I'm not able to capture the part that when one is helpless, then surrender. To me, it reads, for example, if you are doing any kind of action, any kind of seva, for example, or even cooking food for your family, if you're doing it in my name, for me, to please me, then that is supreme. And I'm reading it as it's supreme because then you are not doing anything for yourself, you're doing it for Krishna.
Mhm.
So one aspect is you're helpless, you surrender, and you choose because you're not you don't feel you're in control anymore. For example, if the flight is late and you're getting agitated, but then you say, okay, it's God's will. I'm supposed to arrive late, and therefore I'm just going to surrender. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the reason why I'm taking the flight is to go do a task, and I'm doing the task in Krishna's name. So does it apply to both areas? Because it feels like the one I'm referring to has an element of bhakti in it, but the one that
What is the second element you said?
the first element is the flight is late, we're surrendering because we're helpless. Second element is I'm taking the flight to go to do seva in Krishna's name, and therefore the action that I'm doing is for Krishna, to please, for the pleasure of Krishna. So because the next line it says, you shall attain perfection. Isn't perfection when you rise above doing any action, good or bad? You're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for Krishna. Therefore, that is the highest. You will attain that perfection because you're not in karma kand mode. You're doing it for as a surrender, as a service to the Lord.
Yeah. In fact, I don't see the difference in both the stances. End of the day, what he's saying is, don't get disappointed of your fruits not being met. See, everybody, when they perform an action, there is a heavy element of the karma phala or the fruit in mind. And when there is a sense of egoistic attachment to the desired fruit, it would land you in disappointment, dejection, stress, anxiety. You suffer. Now, how do you get over such self-inflicted suffering? It's a self-inflicted. You inflict suffering because of your desire, because your anxiety, your expectation. How do you get over that? He says, surrender to me. Think that I have orchestrated something for you. So it is my plan for you, not your plan. There is a total scheme of things and you are just a mere instrument. Just play your role thinking of me. So therefore, thereafter, your anxiety is out. Then you are at the Lord's will. Let it happen whatever his will is. So to that extent, you become self-oblivious. You lose yourself in it.
So when you're helpless and you surrender, even though the action that you're doing is for yourself,
Not for yourself anymore. You're not doing for yourself. It's for the Lord.
so that means karma kand doesn't apply in this particular case.
Karma Yoga is the 6th and the 7th verse.
Okay.
You are the doer doing. Here I become an instrument in his hands. He is doing everything. It's so think of his thing in every aspect of life.
But doesn't that require a sense of bhakti in it? Like,
It is, that's what we are doing Bhakti Yoga here. This is the 12th chapter is Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion.
but the path says if you cannot do abhyasa, abhyasa is
Abhyasa refers to 6th and 7th verse. We've interpreted that.
the karma, jnana, bhakti.
Ah.
So, but if you can't do these three, then the fourth,
No, see, there's an element of Bhakti here. It is not purely Bhakti Yoga.
okay.
Okay, there, I get what you're saying. When he says it's not literally meaning when you say, regard me as supreme, doesn't mean Bhakti. One element of Bhakti is surrender. Bhakti is not just surrender. Bhakti, in fact, is going to give 35 qualities of who a Bhakta is. So, Bhakti is too far-fetched, it's too deep.
Okay.
But here he's only trying to instill the thought of the higher into you. Somehow you think of me and just carry on. So instantly I'll relieve you of all the worry and the strain that you're going through.
So then you shall attain perfection. What is he referring to perfection in this?
You will become the self. Means even at your level, if you do it, you will evolve spiritually and ultimately reach the goal. Means you will be qualified for higher spiritual practices.
Thank you.
So he doesn't leave even people who are not in a position to do those yogas.
So you're saying that if we do all actions in the Lord's name, the concept of attaining perfection means you bypass having to do karma, jnana.
No, not bypass. As I
You
said,
still have to go.
you will evolve into a point where you will perform those, you're capable of performing those higher practices. You can't bypass those things. Those who can't do that is being given this one, no?
But you're saying if you lose yourself when you surrender, then when you lose yourself, your vasanas are gone, your
No, I didn't say that.
ego is gone
Temporarily, it will help you.
at that moment.
While you are surrendering, it will help you.
Thank you.
Like doctor tells you for the next 2 weeks, you do what I say. After that, he'll give you ability to manage your own life. You'll get back your health. You are in a phase of ill health. You don't have to permanently be with a doctor, right? Temporarily, you surrender to him. Thereafter, you take actions into your control. You, till the recovery period, you are under the instruction. Imagine you are hospitalized. You have no freedom, nothing you can do. You are being, everything is monitored, everything is being told. You may do things, you may take the medication, you do, but you're still under supervision, instruction, that kind of a thing. Once you walk out of the hospital, you may have to follow a discipline regime, but there it is self-effort. Here there's no self-effort, he's doing it for you. When I say there's self-effort, yes, obviously you are the person who has to do, even that is not easy, as we said. But it's just trying to inject the thought of the higher, surrender, man. Put aside your ego and surrender. In fact, when you have ego, there is no surrender. Surrender is I don't know. Huh? Bow down. You have to bow down. That's why they say when you surrender is Shashtanga Namaskar. Which your entire body is outstretched with your hand stretched out. That is when you do complete Namaskar. Sharanagati, complete surrender. You know the two contexts, in three contexts which talk of surrender, standard examples which is said. Draupadi, when she was being derobed in the parliament, she was holding on to that last piece of cloth to cover her modesty. She didn't get help. But the moment she let go of that, Lord Krishna helped. So until you think you can take care of yourself, you will not get help. Until there is I, there is no God. Until you liquidate your ego to a point where the I doesn't exist, that is when God will come in. That's when totality will come in. But where there is I or ego, there is no surrender. One example. Second example is when in the Gajendra Moksha, there's a reference of that Gajendra is a name of an elephant, which used to go through a ritual of offering a flower to the Lord. So it used to go into the water body to collect that lotus flower to offer. But that day the flower was little deeper in the waters. So it knew the waters were infested with crocodiles. So it didn't mind because it was strong. It went into the deeper waters. As it went deeper, it found that its legs started gripped with something. It soon realized it was being pulled deeper into the water because it was a very strong crocodile. At that moment, the elephant did not fight the croc. It just felt that, oh Lord, sorry, I'm not in a position to offer a flower to you today. It didn't have the arrogance of its strength and fight. It only said, I am not in a position to offer. Instantly, Lord Vishnu sent the chakra, the disc. Second story. The third story is of, in the Bhagavatam, there are stories of tales of Lord Krishna as a Bala Krishna, as a boy. Krishna was full of mischief, full of fun, frolic. So there was a time when the ladies, gopis, used to go into the water body to bathe. So they used to leave their clothes on the shore and they used to go for a shower, means bathe in the waters and come back. Suddenly when they wanted to come out, they saw the clothes were missing. And they knew in the village, there only one fellow will do mischief is Krishna, little Krishna. And they could hear the Krishna playing the flute. So they knew our friend is somewhere nearby and they could relate, they could see him sitting on the tree with the clothes. So, Krishna, please give us the clothes. We have finished our bath. We want to come out. So you come out, I'll give. Pretty Krishna, how are we to come out? We don't have any clothes on our body. Come out, I'll give you. So then they are pleading. Please, 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 please help. Give back clothes. Nothing doing. Do namaskar like this. From the water, the ladies had to do like that. Complete abashment, complete annihilation, complete destruction of ego. Then help comes. Just to drive home the point that you hold on to yourself, you will not get help. You know, when you come to meet, you come to learn or you come to inform, the tone with which you talk, I know. I learned that lesson from my guru. First time when I went to meet him, I remember sitting in his room, wanting to share something. Actually, I wanted to get an opinion from him, what to do. Then I shared the episode to him. Suddenly he got up and left. So I thought he's gone out to the washroom or gone to instruct somebody something. I'm sitting there 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he doesn't come back. Then I get up and go to room, where are you? And he is comfortably sitting and reading newspaper. And I'm simply sitting there, I'm still sitting there waiting for him. As far as he is concerned, the meeting was finished. So when I went to him and said, Swamiji, what is this? I was waiting for you. Hera, I thought you said you wanted to tell something to me. So you want to talk something. I thought you spoke. No, I didn't get you, Swamiji. I thought you said what you had to say. What he meant is, I was informing him, not wanting his view on him, of him. I am only informing what my thoughts are. I don't want him to say what his views are. I thought you wanted to say what you had to say. I heard you. My job is done. You don't want my view, no. That's when I understood surrender. Only when you surrender, you get help. Swamiji, what is it you want me to do? You get the clarity there. Only when you ask me what should I do, then I'll give my advice. Providing that I know that you will follow my advice. Otherwise, no point wasting my talk also to you. No point talking also, because you don't want my advice. So only you get help when you surrender. Till then, you are helpless by yourself and your ego. So just to ensure that how insignificant you are, to instill that thought, he says, surrender. How to surrender? Think, thy will be done, not my will be done. Replace the word I with the larger cause and carry on this. What you're doing, carrying on, just replacing the thought to your replacing. Your work is not changing. The same work is going on. But instead of thought of my desire, my goals, my projects, my wishes, my fruits, my endurance, my rewards, the kartrutva and the bhoktrutva, the doership and enjoyship attitude in the action is go. Get rid of that and just surrender to me. Simply surrender, man. He puts it very easily, but that itself also is not easy. Not easy. So somewhere our ego will come in. Hanji. Yeah, what do you mean practical term? Am I impractical all the way?
No.
I get very angry with you whenever you ask.
What I
Because
mean-
every time you start your question, you start by saying, Guruji, in practical terms, in real life scenario, am I the most impractical person sitting here? I can't understand. Panikai ji, kya bol rahe hain aap?
The fact is that when one can know that he has actually surrendered, like whatever he is doing, if he is thinking that it is an offering to the God, we very often do a lot of things. But if in the back of our mind, if we think that whatever we are doing, it's an offering to the God, then that realization may come. I am not sure that yes, I am on the path of righteousness and I have surrendered, because whatever I am doing, it is for the God,
Sir,
not to please anybody else.
sir, surrendering to God is what? Surrendering to God is surrendering to the totality around you. You are insignificant speck when you consider yourself to the totality, right? What is opposed to surrendering to the totality? I am the architect. I am the boss. I am the creator. I am the man behind everything. So everything will have to happen the way I think, I want, I do. Opposed to that is, I am a mere instrument, a speck in the totality. So when you surrender to the totalistic scheme of things, to the larger scheme of things, not your individual egoistic scheme of things, when one is an egoistic person, you become a loner, sir. Practically, that's how you know. When you are egoistic, you become a loner, you are in conflict with the entire world around you. But when that ego of yours is liquidated, and when you surrender to the totality, you will get help and support from mysterious sources. Everything and everybody will come and support you. You become, in fact, you attract the whole universe to come and think for you, work for you, because you are not having any I or ego in you. You are liquidated your ego. So what is the practical acid test for it is, are you a loner or are you a part of the totality? Because you have liquidated yourself, everybody wants to do something for you. Why they want to do for you? Because you are a part of it. So there is that cohesiveness, that oneness is felt every walk of the way. You're not that you're struggling all by yourself. The moment when you don't surrender, you will not get help, sir. That's the first thing. You will be helpless all by yourself, and you will be helpless because of your own ego. If I am operating egoistically, my life will be, my struggle will be my challenge. You will not think of my well-being because I've shut my doors to you of my own ego. But the moment I have no ego, you will think of me. Simple examples are, imagine, would you walk by seeing a child or an infant neglected on the footpath somewhere? Or would you mind stopping and at least inquiring, whose child is this? Why is the child left alone to the elements? Why is the child not being attended to? Would you not inquire? You may not pick up the child. Dare not, don't know whose child it is, you don't want to get in trouble. At least you'll pause and gather attention and say, why is the child being neglected? The child is announcing to the world, I am helpless. The whole world will stop by to help the child. So a spiritual man, they say, is like a child. Balavat. So you
Guruji,
are,
I just, this is an extension of one of my doubts. It's a pretty old doubt. Somebody has told that when you read Gita, you are very often reading from the perspective of being an Arjuna.
okay.
And if you change your position, if you read Gita,
Okay, I'm vacating the place. No, change the position. आप यहाँ पे आ जाइए, मैं वहाँ पे आ जाऊँगा. वही बोल रहे हैं ना?
नहीं.
For a long time, I've been wanting to have a sit in an asana like this and talk. I can get your desire. We will fulfill the desire now. आइए आप यहाँ बैठिए. वही चाहिए ना?
नहीं. If I read Gita,
हाँ जी.
thinking that I am Krishna, let's say.
Why? Okay.
then
Ah.
am I not feeling that empowered? Am I not feeling that I can do everything? And I means not that ego thing that you are mentioned. So should we change our perspective of reading Gita? This is, of course, is a different context and it's a broader question. But it's one of my, the moment I feel that I am empowered, then I will able to be, I'm more effective. I think that solutions are all around and I'm only, the moment I think that I'm Arjuna, then I'm a seeker of help. I'm needing somebody to do something for me and things like that. It is just shifting the this thing position.
See, I can only answer from what I've been told, sir. My knowledge is limited. Limited knowledge says it's always good to be a student to learn something. If I adopt the stance of the Lord, there's nothing to learn. I know everything. I am almighty as He is omnipresent. He is omnipresent. You become almighty. He becomes all powerful. He is all knowing. Then what? Nothing. I am the Lord. See, then other, you start assuming yourself to be something which you are not. That is dangerous. That is dangerous. Sir, it is rather to have a quality and assume I don't have it, than not having it and assuming having it. Which is better, sir? Which is better?
No, why I asked this question? Because few days back I was addressing some of our trainees. Then
You assumed Lord Krishna, is it?
what did you told them that you are joining an organization
Okay.
in which you people should not feel that you are something you are all powerful.
Oh, you told them you're all not Krishnas, you're Arjunas. I am the Krishna here.
No, this is a typical problem for bureaucrats.
I don't think he's a bureaucrat. So the point is, it's rather to have a quality and be humble. Yeah, sir, just I don't mind you. Please use the mic, please. Yeah,
I will clarify the things because nowadays I'm also one of the professor.
Last time also I told I'm very afraid of unions. Forming a union.
No, not about the document levels. I'm talking about not about the document levels here. Whatever sir said, that is right. Because of due to the new technologies of artificial intelligence and ML and data sciences, the things are not in our control. Whatever we are teaching, that is the old system of thinking and old system of doing things. Now the artificial intelligence is changed entire versions of the things. Whatever Elon Musk told, everything in not only in India, throughout all Elon Musk is told, everything will be automated and the entire labor system will be vacated. These things are happening in the Dubai also.
So
That's why I'm not only a part of I'm part of School of Gita also. That's why I'm came to this spiritual SQ quotient.
no, we are happy to hear you, but what is the point? What are you trying to get?
No. The things, whatever the environment we are living in the society, because we have to enlighten the people, our students. We have to teach the students whatever the things are happening here. But whatever we are told in the colleges, that is not in the old system. The system is entirely changing. That's the thing that I want to learn from the spiritual quotient also in the part of whatever we are telling, it is all the part of the dopamine levels. If you eat something sweet, your dopamine level will increase. If you read some good book, your dopamine level will increase. If you listen good music, your dopamine level will be increasing. Your brain is a mixture of 6 acids only. Out of 6 acids, the dopamine is the good one.
I think we are going off course.
No,
I respect your view, but I don't gain any clarity as to what is being said in the context. I'm afraid I'll have to leave it. Maybe we can continue your conversation after the class.
Yeah, sure, sir. We will connect it.
So I have a piece of paper. Who wrote this? Okay, right. Guruji, I'm perplexed. Even the meditative student also was perplexed last week. Okay, I'm glad to see she's also perplexed, means she's in the stage of realization. Yes, sir, Garu? Me or you are, she's reached your self-realized state. Here he says, surrender to me when you are helpless. But we learned Brahman has got nothing to do with what is happening. Explain. With it, everything happens. Without it, nothing happens. It has got nothing to do with the happening. Correct. See, when we try to describe that Brahman is a pure witness to the happenings, it remains a constant witness. It has got nothing to do with your action. It has got nothing to do with the motive you entertain to your action. It has got nothing to do with the fruits or consequences of action. Because you are the perpetrator, you are the actor, you be the deserver, good or bad. God says, I have got nothing to do with it. So the stance of Brahman is clear. But what should be our stance to God? The purpose of surrendering to God is only to liquidate your ego, so that the thought of I and my gets replaced with thy. That's all. So there is no contradiction to what Brahman is. Brahman has got nothing to do with what you're doing. Maybe Brahman will not help you in anything that you're doing, because ultimately it's your own choice. But he is giving you a higher power so that you can bring about a paradigm shift in your thoughts. If there is no higher thought or element in action, your actions will become totally gross, egocentric and selfish. So the thought of higher is only going to make your actions more purer, elevated. That's all, nothing else. So I don't see any contradiction in the two concepts. Okay. Sariya? Right. Jayama?
Hari Om Guruji.
Just a minute. Somebody online. Yes, ma. Hari Om.
Arjuna represents the concept of total surrender. When one surrenders as a student, then Krishna arrives to resurrect. Isn't that what he represents? We can never feel we are a Krishna. We always have to be an Arjuna.
I can't hear completely. What is it you said? Sorry, can you come again?
I said Krishna represents a concept of total Sharanagati or surrender. Unless one becomes an Arjuna, Krishna will not come to resurrect you.
Correct. In fact, Arjuna, in the context of the Gita also, Arjuna also did not get help until he surrendered. The first chapter, if you read the first chapter, Arjuna is giving a lecture to Krishna. Now, I don't know whether you want to be Krishna or Arjuna. Better be Krishna, sir. I don't think Arjuna is a better idea. If you have a choice, better be Krishna, correct? I agree with you. You are too smart, Panigraji. Direct Krishna पे जाओ. Arjuna छोड़ो. उसका problem उसी पे रहने दो. Krishna के पास सब solution है, no? So he'll behave very soon like Krishna Bhagavan giving advice, in the house. Be careful, huh? No, Guruji only told become Krishna Bhagavan, So watch out, huh? So you're right. So the whole context is surrender. And to the extent you surrender, to that extent you get help. So Arjuna obviously symbolizes one who surrendered to this wisdom. Okay, ma? Right, sir. So first, what's your good name, sir? Sridhar Garu is asking, what is wisdom? What is wisdom? Sorry, what is? See, what is the definition of wisdom?
Wisdom means the quality of having experience.
See, wisdom is everyone speaks. Siri is speaking to me here. I wonder till now he kept quiet. 1 hour, 10 minutes. Okay, enough, keep quiet. No, this is wisdom. Artificial intelligence. Everything starts speaking. That is wisdom. In Wisdom Foundation, everything will give wisdom to you. Huh? Not freedom. It's all wisdom. You have to have eyes to see. Huh? Till now it didn't talk. Now it suddenly started talking. No, Wi-Fi was on. It got connected to the Wi-Fi. Very funny. See, when you surrender, help comes mysterious ways and means. This is what it means, mysterious ways and means. Ramji, suddenly my laptop is talking to me, sir. If you were here, you would have got the real picture. I don't think you could hear that. Could you hear?
Yeah, I could hear some voice. I think
Yeah.
your laptop must have picked up a lot of wisdom by now because you have been always speaking to it and through it. So more than us, it would have picked up a lot more wisdom.
True, sir. True, true. Right. So, sir.
But on the issue of surrender, if you give me 1 minute,
Oh, yes, please. Chapandi.
I can, this, you referred to, this part where the elephant, the king of elephants. So when he finally, if you read, I mean, this is written in Telugu by Potana. It's one of the finest Telugu poetries that you will hear. So in that he talks of, he keeps on praying and then asking for help. But finally he says, that's what the meaning of surrender. Finally he says, లావక్యంతయలేదు ధైర్యము విలోలంబయ్యే ప్రాణంబులున్ ఠావులు దప్పెను మూర్ఛ వచ్చి తనుండస్సన్ శ్రమం బయ్యడిన్ నీవే తప్ప నితఃపరం బెరుగ.
Little slowly, please. First of all, you are talking to illiterate, not traits. I am not including you. I am talking myself. Please, కొద్దిగా మెల్లగా పచ్చగండి.
Okay, I will. లావక్యంతయలేదు ధైర్యము విలోలంబయ్యే ప్రాణంబులున్ ఠావులు తప్పెను మూర్ఛ వచ్చే తనుండస్సన్ శ్రమం బయ్యడిన్ నీవే తప్ప నితఃపరం బెరుగ. That is the line actually. That's where he says, and లావక్యంతయలేదు means there is no energy. Dhairyam vilolambaya means my confidence and this thing is gone. Tanundasan, my body has become weak. Shramam bayadin, I am feeling the strain of all this. Nive tappa nitahparam berga, that is a surrender. He says, except you, I don't know anyone else. You are the only one who can save me. And he says, Nive tappa nitahparam berga, mannimpandagun deenunin, rave varda, kavave, Rave Ishvara Kavave Varda Samrakshimpu Bhadratmaka. So he says Bhadratmaka. Bhadra is the name of the elephant. The king of the elephant is Bhadra. And Bhadratmaka. So he is actually in his heart. So he says that you have to come and. So that is a surrender, he says. Till then, Vishnu is happily Alavaikunthapurambulo Nagarilo Namola Saudhambadapalam Mandar Vanantaramrita. సర ప్రాంతేందు కాంతోపలోత్పల్ పర్యంక రమా వినోదయ గురు అపన్న ప్రసన్నుండు విహ్వల నాగేంద్రము పాహి పాహి అని పొయ్యాలంటే సంభ్రమ.
Please, Miru, I think you will do justice to the context. I think when you are physically here, because we want to get direct wisdom, not indirect wisdom like this.
But anyway, the point I wanted to mention is that only when he surrendered himself and say that except you, I have nobody else and I am completely helpless. That's what he says. Only then Vishnu gets up from his garden behind his in Vaikuntham and then starts. I mean, it's a very beautiful, one of the finest poetries in Telugu you will see with this Gajendra Moksham. Gajendra Moksham, Prahalad Charitra and Rukmini Kalyanam. These three are the greatest Telugu poetries written by, a part of Bhagavatam, written by Bammera Potana from Warangal. So we always keep talking about them as the most beautiful Telugu you will ever hear. So sorry for that interruption, but I just wanted to say that this is the meaning of surrender. That you have to say that I don't have anybody else, you are the only one who can save me and I am completely helpless.
Thank you, Ramji. Sorry to say, I didn't understand the word. Because I think there is, I know there's a lot to, pure Telugu, you are talking.
I think we will surrender to whatever he has said.
Correct. We surrendered to what you said, sir. Everybody in the classroom has completely surrendered to you. You are the only one who knows. We don't know anything about it. We are totally helpless but to surrender. You don't know what's happening. See, surrender is not to imagine a figure or a personality or an idol or idolizing it. Surrender is to liquidate your ego. That is surrender. It is not, oh Krishna, oh Allah, oh Muhammad, oh Rama, oh Gita, oh Radhe, help me. It's not that. It's not a mere expression of speech. It's not just mere idealizing a figure. It is to how you conduct yourself. Conducting yourself without ego and egoistic purpose is surrender. So when you act without an ego and egoistic purpose is surrendering to a higher cause. Yes. Not mere trust, not trust. It is getting rid of your ego. That is surrender. Huh? Losing yourself. Till you lose yourself, you will not get help. That is surrender. Okay, so Sridharji has asked a question, what is wisdom? See, wisdom is the essence of knowledge. We have many sources of knowledge. We have a lot of information, which is known as jnanam in Sanskrit. You can acquire jnanam through shravana. Shravana is through listening or through reading. The olden days, Shravana was said because there was no written literature. They only used to hear a guru, and that was the only source of learning. So, gaining knowledge or information through listening or textbooks or reading material is the first step. So, you gain jnanam. For example, you have come here, you heard, you gathered some information. The next stage is to process that knowledge. The knowledge which you have learned doesn't belong to you. It was somebody else's. Now the effort would be to make it your own. So the process you adopt to make the knowledge which is information as wisdom is known as manana. Manana is an individualistic exercise. Shravana is a collective exercise. You are in a part of a satsang, a part of a organized activity where you are able to learn something from an external source. But manana is not a collective or a group activity. Manana is an individual exercise where you recap what was taught, you question, you reflect, and try and understand the truth behind it. And in the process, you are actually exercising your intellect. So the process of churning the knowledge with your intellect, you extract the essence of the knowledge. So the essence extracted from the teachings or the knowledge is wisdom. That is known as vijnanam. So jnanam is information, vijnanam is wisdom. And how do I know that I have wisdom or I've gathered X amount of wisdom? It is when you start living the values that you propagate or preach or you believe in. When I don't live in my life, then it is information. I may talk about being unselfish, but if I'm still continue to be selfish, extremely attached to my possessions and my wealth, and yet I say, oh, I must live a life of service and sacrifice. Manangati. Enna service and sacrifice, da? Morning to night, you're only thinking of yourself. And can't think of the other person. You're thinking of, I'm talking of service and sacrifice, blowing hot and cold. A person who talks of service and sacrifice will look for opportunities to sacrifice, will create opportunities to serve. He will be a giver. You know, how much of a giver am I? How much of a taker am I? I may talk of giving, but am I a giver? Look yourself in the mirror and ask, am I a giver or a taker? Or you may say, I don't have much. It is not what you give, it is the readiness and the thought to give. When an opportunity comes, will you be able to give? It's your thinking that makes you what you are. And the thinking changes when you have the wisdom. Nothing changes when you have wisdom, when you have knowledge, sorry. Nothing changes when you have knowledge. So when you gain the knowledge, understand the process has just started. It's the beginning and not the end. So wisdom changes your life. Knowledge informs you about life. You know what about life and living, that's all. But wisdom changes your perspective to life, your life changes. I don't know about artificial intelligence. You asked me wisdom, I'm answering you what wisdom is. Artificial intelligence is artificial. There's nothing artificial in this wisdom. You got to slog it out. You got to. So be it, sir. What are you trying to come and say? Are you marketing artificial intelligence in this classroom or to me? Then what are you going on parroting the same thing again and again? Science, where science ends, Vedanta begins. So please grow up to understand the profundity of the wisdom. You're not able to get the point. We are not interested in artificial intelligence. This is not the market for you to come and talk of artificial intelligence. Any amount of artificial intelligence will have no clue what this wisdom is. So what are you talking? Will somebody clone me and repeat what I'm saying? Is that all? That is not what the truth is. I don't understand why are you going back on artificial intelligence. It doesn't make any sense to me, at least to anybody in this classroom. At least you come here, please try and gain what is being said here. So there are three types of people who come to any guru. One type of student comes to show off his knowledge to the guru. Second type of student comes to check how much the guru knows. The third puts aside his ego and learning and say, what can I learn from the teacher? Please find out what is your attitude of your purpose to this classroom. That's all. You please introspect and find out. You've asked a question, I've answered it, there ends the clarification. But has it got anything to do with artificial intelligence? It's your individual study to find out and publish a thesis. Somebody out there will market your thesis also, but that has no place in this classroom or in this institution. Just because the world is going gaga with artificial intelligence, am I to give up this wisdom and follow that? Nah. I will bow down to tradition, I'll bow down to this shastras. This is called Sanatana Dharma. Artificial intelligence was not there 10 years ago, will not be there 20 years ago, 20 years from now. You are just getting excited with something which has come in, a new toy has come in the marketplace, you are getting excited with it. There was no artificial intelligence 20 years ago. Will it be there 20 years from now? Any guarantee? And you're excited about it? I'm saying get excited about something which will never die, man. Sanatana Dharma, this is the truth. Take this. While this is being given, you are talking about artificial intelligence. You must be mature enough to know what the difference is. I'm not ridiculing you, sir. I'm only I'm laying the accent on the right. So many things have come and gone. They will come and go. Don't get carried away with it. Tomorrow they will fear the same artificial intelligence. There are people fearing what artificial intelligence will do to mankind. But this nobody will fear. Please embrace this wisdom. That's my humble appeal. But I came out very strong so that the point stands up because I speak the truth. I spoke the truth. It should be taken on its own account. Right, sir? I hope you appreciate the stance with I'm taking to this wisdom. I have nothing against artificial intelligence, but it has got nothing to do with this, and there is no comparison. Chalk and cheese. Wisdom and artificial and chalk and cheese. Don't compare it, please. It is insulting this wisdom. And taking the seat here, I will not allow the wisdom to be insulted. I need to protect the sanctity of the wisdom. That's my job. Therefore, I put my foot down and establish what is right, please. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Can you switch it on? No.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a question with regard to when you said, when you walk your walk and you talk your talk with surrendering your ego. So suppose I'll use myself as an example, but I'm thinking of someone. So I feel, okay, I'm coming to classes, I'm doing seva, whatever, not from the I ego point, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing all the right things. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm walking the walk and talking the talk with spirituality and Vedanta. But yet you'll have people around you saying, oh, you're just being self-righteous. You think you are surrendering your ego. Not that you keep saying, but in your mind, okay, when I'm cooking, I'm thinking of Krishna. When I'm doing service, I'm thinking of Krishna. People around you don't know that's how you're going, that's your path, but they're aware that that's how you function. But the society around you is like, oh, this person keeps thinking they're walking the walk and talking the talk, but they're full of ego. How are you going to know? Have you actually surrendered? Not that their opinion matters, you're doing it in his will, but not even needing to justify. How can you differentiate? Have you actually surrendered your ego? If your mind thinks you are surrendering it, society around you makes you feel that you haven't surrendered. You're even more full of ego than ever. How to know that? Have you actually surrendered? Is there a way to know this?
See, surrender, when you surrender, you become
One,
inclusive.
correct?
When you don't surrender, it's exclusive. So there is that much affinity with the world around you because of your surrender. There is an attractive law of attraction, they say, no?
Hmm.
So people will be drawn to you. People will connect with you because of no ego. See, what surrendering does is it dilutes the ego.
Hmm.
If you don't understand surrender, you understand what ego does.
Hmm.
See, what ego does, the greater the ego, the greater is friction with the world. You become like a child, not a child. Like a child, sir. Balavat, they say, like a child. They say, like a madman, like a pishachavat. Like a ghost, they say. They compare it to 3. So
the fact if you have people all around you and aiding and assisting you every step of the way, that's the sign, so to speak, that you are on the right path. But if you're alone and you're not getting assistance, that's
even a
the,
Bollywood celebrity will have people around him.
yeah.
I can plant 25, what do you call these fellows? Bodyguards around me everywhere. Oh, I am a very highly spiritual man because 25 people outside bathroom also are standing. My God, what a highly spiritual.
Yeah.
They can't take them literally, man.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is, look at the opposite of it. When there is ego, there is friction with the world. So you need to know whether is there a friction with the society, with the world around you, or is there an acceptance of what you do?
Understood. I got my answer. Thank you.
Let's say if you're saying I'm cooking prasad in the name of the Lord, but nobody likes what you have cooked. What is this have you cooked? What is the name of the dish? Your ego is shattered that day. Nobody praises, nobody recognizes. But if you still feel upset that nobody appreciated your effort, nobody is rewarded for your effort, that means you're still egoistic. Because if you say you have done in the name of the Lord, how does it matter?
Yeah.
You didn't exist in the whole exercise of preparing the food. So why should you need recognition for something you've not done? So it is all his prasad. You don't exist in the whole thing.
Understood.
So it is not just a personality. It is to measure yourself. How do you react to the world? How does an egoistic person react and a person without ego react to the world? That determines your degree of surrender. It's a degree. Nobody is 100% surrendered.
In fact, I think the answers will come in verses 13 to 20, when he says the true bhakta is the one who doesn't agitate the world and who is not agitated by the world.
Why are you talking of that quality now?
In the context of, he also says,
Context of what?
I have a strong conviction that I'm on the right path. So I don't need approval from external sources.
No, there is, one who is in the right path, inwardly he knows it. It may be difficult to exhibit them, but there is enough clarity when you analyze them. Like when you're trying to expand on surrender, the quality of surrender is better understood with lack of ego, rather than just saying, oh, it's all his will, it's all thy. But the mirror image of surrender is the other side of, rather it's not other side. It is the same side, but the other, either you describe it positively or negatively, active voice or passive voice. So passive voice is no ego, active voice is surrender. Content has nothing. Why? What does contentment got to do with no ego? No. See, opposite of contentment is avaricious. You will be greedy. You are never satisfied with what you have. That is opposite to contentment. It has got nothing to do with being egoistic or selfish, self-centered thoughts. A self-centered person is never satisfied. A quality associated with selfishness. But you can't say selfishness is no contentment. They are connected, but not, you can't equate it as to that quality. So, not being, or being contented is not surrendering. You may be contented as well, but that is not equated to surrender. Last question, Ji.
So just to expand on what my wife asked earlier, hypothetically, if Gayatri Ma is taking charge while you're away, so for example, you went to Ahmedabad.
She is charged when I'm here also. What are you saying? She can decide when she switches off the mic. She's a big boss.
So she knows how you like things done, the cleanliness, tidiness, doing the assignments on time. And the people around that are given the seva, they are slacking. But when she's cracking the whip and saying, Guruji wants it done this way, you've promised it to be done on such and such time, but you've not delivered. The person thinks that, oh, Gayatri Ma has got too much ego. Now that she thinks she's in charge, she's dictating when I should do things, whether my work is good enough or not.
In
Whether
one day you got the picture very clearly. One day he got the picture. What? One day he stayed in the ashram, he's got the picture of the reality of life here.
That's pretty much in every spiritual institution, because this drama goes on everywhere. So then in that situation, the person who is the cracking the whip or who's trying to make sure everything is being done properly, like cleanliness is next to godliness, you're implementing all these things, but the people that the Sevites or the people that are coming in the ashram, they don't follow that, but they think that it's your ego that is causing you to say these things. So does that mean how you're putting your thoughts across is where the issue is, not what you're doing?
I can be cruel only to be kind. Don't go by my cruelty, see my intention. I am whipping to only correct you, only to bring about an edification or transformation in you, not to satisfy my ego. So, but if I have to do that, I do that, but intention is only to serve you. Not necessarily adopt it all the time. You may have to at times raise your voice, but doesn't mean you have a hard heart or you have no heart at all. No, not that. It's just that sometimes you may have to adopt. So don't go by the language. Gayatri Ma is a very sweet lady. She's got a very good heart. Don't worry. So she may have scolded you a few times and she will scold you a few times the next few days you are here. Please understand that she's a very kind person. Gayatri Ma, have I done the correct job? Huh? Okay, Ji. Right. We'll have to come back. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.